There are moments, precious soul, when everything around you feels uncertain, when the ground beneath your feet trembles with questions and the silence of heaven seems louder than your prayers. You've waited, you've wept, you've wondered why the answers don't come when you so desperately need them, and somewhere in that quiet ache you begin to ask, has God forgotten me? But let me tell you, with all the breath that is within me, He has not. Oh, He sees you. In the hidden places where no one else sees, He is there. In the nights when the tears soak the pillow and your heart can barely whisper another word, He is there. And not only is He there, but He is working in the waiting, in the stillness, in the silence. Sometimes His ways will not make sense to the mind. Sometimes His hand moves so slowly you begin to wonder if it's moving at all. But His timing is perfect. Not delayed, not early, but right on time. And in the divine rhythm of His purpose, nothing is wasted. Not one tear. Not one moment of confusion. Not one prayer whispered in faith and desperation. There is a deep place where trust is not just a word, it becomes your lifeline. You may not understand the why, but you can lean into the one who holds it all. He doesn't need your timeline. He asks for your heart. Will you trust Him when you cannot trace Him? Will you hold His hand when the path is hidden? Will you believe that the God who created time is not bound by it? He is in control. Even now, even here, even when everything around you says otherwise. The delay is not a denial. The waiting is not a punishment. It is preparation. It is protection. It is the hand of a loving Father orchestrating something greater than you could ever imagine. Trusting God means surrendering even when the outcome is unclear. And oh, how difficult that is for the heart that wants answers, the mind that craves certainty, and the soul that longs for resolution. We are people who reach for the known, who find comfort in control, and who quietly fear the unknown like a shadow that creeps across the path we thought we understood. And yet, the Spirit calls us to a place deeper than understanding. A place where we let go of what we cannot control and open our hands to what we do not yet see. This kind of trust is not casual. It does not sit lightly on the shoulders of those who merely hope things turn out well. No, this is the kind of trust that trembles and still holds on. It is the trust of a heart that has been broken before, that has walked through fire and wilderness, and still whispers, "Thy will be done." This trust is not born in comfort, it is birthed in surrender. It is shaped in the stillness of midnight prayers, when the only answer you receive is His presence. There is something holy about surrender. When you have done all you can, when you have prayed every prayer and cried every tear, and still the outcome remains hidden, there is a point at which your soul must decide, will I fight for control, or will I trust the one who sees what I cannot? It is in that sacred moment that the heavens bend low to witness a miracle. Not the miracle of circumstances changing, but the miracle of a heart yielding fully to its Creator. And sometimes that yielding feels like breaking, like falling into an unseen hand, like walking through a door you can't even see, only because He said walk. And your flesh may resist. Your thoughts may rage, but your spirit, oh, your spirit knows the voice of the shepherd. It is that voice that leads you beside still waters, that voice that walks with you through the valley, that voice that never fails, even when your heart is faint. To trust Him in the sunshine is one thing, but to trust Him in the storm, that is where the depth is found. That is where the roots grow deep. That is where your faith becomes more than just words. You see, He never asked for your understanding. He asked for your trust. He never demanded you figure it all out. He simply called you to follow, even when you're limping, even when your eyes are swollen from weeping, even when the path winds and twists and disappears into the unknown. And there will be times when the surrender feels like silence, when heaven seems quiet and answers remain hidden. But his silence is not absence. His quietness is not neglect. He is working in places you cannot see, preparing things you have not imagined, shielding you from dangers you didn't even know were near. The surrender you offer him is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of intimacy, a sign that you know his heart more than you need his hand. O Lord, let me be like clay in your hands. Shape me, mold me, break me if you must, that I might reflect your image. Let not my prayers be for easy roads, but for willing hearts. Breathe into me the strength to surrender, the grace to wait, the peace that passes understanding. When I cannot see, let me trust. When I do not hear, let me believe. When the answers do not come, let me still lift my hands and say, you are good. May the Spirit anchor your soul in the truth that he is faithful, not just when things go right, but always. Not just when prayers are answered swiftly, but when the silence lingers. May your heart rise in worship, not because of the outcome, but because of his presence, in the midst of it all. For he is not just the God of the miracle. He is the God of the waiting, the God of the wilderness, the God of the in-between. There's something about trust that strips us bare. It takes away our plans, our strategies, our logic, and asks us to rest in arms we cannot see. But those arms have never dropped one soul that leaned into them. Those hands have never failed to carry the weight of a surrendered life. You do not have to know the outcome to be at peace. You do not have to see the end to rest in the middle, because he who holds the end also holds you. Let your spirit dwell richly within me. Let me learn to walk by faith and not by sight. I surrender not just my fears, but my timing, not just my questions, but my pride. Teach me, Lord, to be still and know that you are God. Whisper truth over the places where I've doubted. Fill every empty space with your nearness. And when the winds of uncertainty howl, let me cling not to what I see, but to the one who sees me. There is a sacred beauty in letting go. Not giving up, but giving in. To the one whose love is endless, whose plan is eternal, whose timing is perfect. You are not forgotten, you are not alone. And this moment of surrender is the holiest kind of worship, where your will bows to his, and your heart says, I trust you even now. Divine delays are not denials. They are setups for something greater. But how heavy that truth can feel when you're sitting in the middle of waiting, when your heart has already dared to believe, and yet nothing has come to pass. You've stood in faith, you've spoken the promises, you've done all that you know to do, and still the door remains closed. The answer remains unseen. In that space, it becomes easy to wonder if maybe God changed his mind, or worse, if maybe he never heard you at all. But he heard you. From the very first moment your lips whispered that prayer, heaven leaned in. The silence you feel is not indifference, it is the sacred work of preparation. There are delays that feel like abandonment, but are actually divine protection. There are pauses that seem like punishment, but are actually positioning. You only see the moment, but God sees the whole path. He sees the detours you never anticipated, the storms that would have overwhelmed you if he answered too soon, the enemy's traps laid out just beyond your current step. His timing does not follow the urgency of your emotion. His plans are not controlled by the ticking of your clock. He's not moved by panic nor pressured by time. He is God. And in his wisdom, He weaves the invisible threads of your future in ways that often seem to contradict the logic of the present. What looks like delay to you is actually divine orchestration, like the master composer who pauses the music not to end the song, but to prepare the rise of the crescendo. The very things that seem to be working against you are in his hands the things working for you. But the human heart, so prone to despair, often misreads the silence. We cry out for miracles, and when they don't come on our schedule, we question the goodness of the giver. But what if the greater miracle is not in the timing of the answer, but in what God is cultivating in your soul while you wait? Because it's in the delay that your roots grow deeper. It's in the waiting that your ears become attuned to his still, small voice. It's in the silence that your worship becomes pure. Not based on outcomes, but based on who he is. And what he is doing in you is just as important as what he is preparing for you. He is not slow, as some count slowness. He is intentional. And every moment you think is wasted is actually filled with unseen purpose. O Lord, strengthen me to wait upon you with confidence and not with fear. Teach my heart to rest in your promises, even when I cannot see the path ahead. Let not my faith be tied to deadlines, but let it be anchored in your character. For you are not a man that you should lie, nor the son of man that you should change your mind. What you have spoken, you will bring to pass. Let my soul rejoice in the unseen workings of your hand. Give me eyes to see beyond the veil of delay. Let my prayers rise before you, not as demands, but as offerings of trust. Let my heart say yes to your timing, yes to your process, yes to the unseen things that are too wondrous for me to fully understand. Shape me in the waiting, mold me in the silence, and set my feet to dance when the fulfillment comes, not because I earned it, but because you are faithful. Sometimes the delay is heaven's mercy. Had the answer come sooner, it might have come too small. Had the breakthrough arrived on your timeline, it might not have been strong enough to sustain the calling that lies ahead. He is not simply answering a prayer. He is preparing a legacy. And legacies are not rushed. They are chiseled, refined, tested in fire, and then revealed in glory. The greatest tests of your faith will often come wrapped in divine silence. But silence is not absence. Silence is the space where your trust is made strong, where your spiritual eyes are sharpened, where your intimacy with him deepens. And it's in that stillness that something sacred begins to form. A quiet confidence that your life is not spiraling out of control, but is held in the palm of his hand. Make me to trust you, O Lord, not just in the promise, but in the process. Teach me to embrace the journey and not just the destination. Let me not grow weary in well-doing, for in due season I shall reap if I faint not. Quicken my heart with hope that does not disappoint. Stir in me a holy expectation, not bound by time, but rooted in your unfailing word. You are the author and the finisher. You begin stories with the end already in mind. What I see as a delay, you see as a preparation. What I feel as confusion, you know as perfect orchestration. Let me yield to the wisdom of your ways, even when they confound my understanding. I will rest in your sovereignty, knowing that what you withhold, you do for love, and what you release, you do in perfect timing. There is no wasted time in your kingdom. There is no misstep when I walk with you. My delays are divine. My disappointments are being rewritten. My prayers are not forgotten. They are stored like incense, rising before you. The answer may not yet be here, but you are, and that is enough. God's timing protects us from blessings we aren't ready to carry. And though the heart aches to receive what it hopes for, there are moments in life when God, in his mercy, holds back what we think we're prepared for, not to punish us, but to preserve us, to protect us from the weight of a gift that would crush us instead of bless us. For what use is a crown if it breaks the neck that wears it? What use is a door if the foundation beneath your feet isn't strong enough to hold the room beyond it? You may cry for the blessing, plead for the breakthrough, fast for the open door, but only God sees the full picture. Only He knows the condition of your heart, the strength of your spirit, the cracks in the structure that no one else sees, and so He waits. He waits until your character can carry what your calling demands. He waits until your obedience becomes instinct, not just emotion. And He waits until your roots have grown deep enough that when the wind comes, and it will, you will not be uprooted. How often we mistake His timing for denial, when really it is grace. There are blessings that would have tempted us into pride had they come too soon. There are relationships that would have distracted us from purpose had they arrived before we were grounded. There are platforms that would have inflated our egos instead of amplifying His name. And so He withholds, not because He is cruel, but because He is kind. Not because we are forgotten, but because we are still becoming. There is safety in His timing, the kind of safety that keeps you from walking through doors that are not yours yet, from grabbing things that are good but not yet good for you. He is not slow, He is strategic. And when you begin to understand this, you stop demanding and stop trusting. You stop rushing and begin resting. Because He will not bless what will burden you. He will not give what will lead you away from Him. Even if it looks right, even if it feels like you're ready, He sees deeper. He sees the unseen cracks, the untested heart, the fragile motives. And He waits. Not for the blessing to be ready, but for you. And in that waiting, He begins to shape you through trials that refine, through disappointments that humble, through seasons of obscurity that teach you to hear His voice above the crowd. He strips away the illusion that the blessing will complete you and shows you that only He can. Because if the blessing becomes your source, you will crumble. But if He becomes your foundation, then when the blessing comes, it will rest safely in hands that know how to hold it. You are not being punished in the delay. You are being protected. And when you come to the place where you want Him more than what He gives, you are ready. When your prayer shifts from, "Give it to me now," to "Make me ready in your time," something holy happens. You move from striving to surrender, from fear to faith, from demand to devotion. O Lord, guard my heart from impatience. Let me not reach for what I am not yet able to carry. Train my spirit in quiet trust. Teach me to wait with expectation, not anxiety. To hope with humility, not pride. Let me be refined in your fire, shaped in your word, hidden in your presence until the time is right. Help me to see that what you withhold is often more loving than what you release. Let not my heart grow weary in the silence. Strengthen me in the hidden place. Teach me to walk with you even when the road ahead is dim, even when others are running ahead and I am still standing still. Let my joy be in your presence, not just in your gifts. It is so easy to compare, to look to the left and to the right and wonder why others have stepped into what I am still praying for. But you are not in a hurry. You are not measuring my life by someone else's timeline. You are writing a story that is uniquely mine, crafted by hands that know exactly what I need and when I need it. And so I surrender my expectations, I release my deadlines, I give you my timelines, my dreams, my ambitions. Shape them in the way you see fit. If you are not in it, I do not want it. Prepare me, Lord, for the weight of what you have prepared for me. Let me not be so eager for the blessing that I neglect the becoming. Let me not chase destiny and miss the one who holds it. I yield every area of my life to your timing, knowing that you withhold no good thing from those who walk uprightly. When the blessing comes, and it will, I want to be found faithful. Not just waiting but worshiping, not just hoping but becoming, not just desiring the gift but deeply rooted in the giver. Let me carry the weight of your promise with humility, with strength, and with reverence. Let the waiting do its holy work in me. Refine me until I reflect you. Prepare me until I can steward what you entrust, and anchor me in the truth that your timing is never to harm me, but always to hold me in the safety of your perfect love. Faith grows strongest in seasons of waiting and silence. There is something about the quiet that causes the soul to stretch, something about the unanswered prayer that teaches your heart to kneel a little longer, to worship a little deeper, to listen not just for answers but for the whisper of His presence. In the waiting, we discover what faith truly is. Not a fleeting feeling or a burst of inspiration, but a steady choice to believe when there's nothing left to see. The silence of God is not the absence of God. It is often His classroom where the deepest lessons are taught without words. And while the flesh may tremble in confusion, the spirit learns to lean. You begin to understand that faith isn't proven in the miracles. It's proven in the moments when the miracles haven't yet come. That's where faith becomes alive. When you look around and nothing has changed, yet something within you rises and says, "Still, I believe." God is not afraid to be silent. He does not rush to fill the empty spaces with noise. He allows us to sit in those quiet rooms, to face the stillness, because He knows what it produces in us. He knows that silence strips away our distractions and causes us to seek Him for who He is, not just what He can do. He knows that waiting purifies desire, sifts motive, and tests the foundation of our trust. And how many times have we said we trust Him only to realize that what we really trusted was the outcome we hoped for? But in the season where everything is still and heaven seems quiet, we find the opportunity to love Him not for His hand, but for His heart. We learn to trust the story even when we cannot read the next page. We begin to understand that His silence does not mean He is unmoved. It means He is doing something deeper. Faith that grows in silence is resilient. It is rooted in truth, not emotion. It can withstand delay, disappointment, and even despair, because it is not built on the shifting sands of circumstance, but on the solid rock of who God is. And He is faithful. Even when we feel forgotten, even when the prayers echo back like empty wind, He is working not just around us, but within us. The waiting is not wasted. The silence is not void. It is forming something sacred. O Lord, grow my faith not only in the light of answered prayer, but in the darkness of delayed response. Teach me to wait well. Let my heart not faint in the silence, but be strengthened by it. Let my ears be tuned to hear even the faintest whisper of your Spirit. And when all I hear is stillness, let me trust that you are closer than my breath. Help me to remember that Abraham waited, and so did Joseph, and so did David, and none of them were forgotten. Their seasons of silence were not signs of your absence, but stages of your preparation. Let me stand in that same hope, let me carry the same confidence that the same God who led them through the quiet will not fail to lead me too. Anchor me, Lord, in the assurance that though I may not see the harvest yet, the seed of your promise is still alive in the soil of my faith. When I am tempted to doubt, remind me of your goodness. When I am tempted to run, hold me steady in your peace. And when I can no longer trace your hand, help me rest in the memory of your faithfulness. Let me rise with each morning and say, even in this I will trust you. Let my faith not be shallow, not tied to circumstances or outcomes, but be deep, anchored in who you are. Waiting is not passive. It is the work of surrender. It is a holy offering laid upon the altar each day. It is the choice to keep showing up in prayer, to keep declaring truth over feelings, to keep believing that God is good even when life is hard. And in that choice, over and over again, faith is formed. Faith that can endure fire, faith that can carry the weight of destiny, faith that no storm can destroy. Lord, write faith upon the walls of my heart. Build within me a trust that does not demand evidence, but rests in your word. Let me see the waiting not as punishment, but as preparation. Let me find joy not in what I receive, but in who I become while I wait. Make me a vessel you can fill. Make me a sanctuary where your spirit can dwell. In the silence I will worship. In the waiting I will serve. In the darkness I will declare light. For I am not forgotten, I am being formed. My roots are growing deep, my soul is being shaped. And though my eyes do not yet see the fullness, my spirit rejoices in what is to come. Because faith that is forged in silence is the kind of faith that endures. It is the kind of faith that endures. It is the kind of faith that moves mountains, not just the ones outside of me, but the ones within. When the day comes, and it always does, when the promise breaks forth, and the answer finally arrives, may my heart not forget the lessons of the waiting. May I carry the strength born in the silence as a testimony of your faithfulness. And may the faith you formed in the stillness guide me through every season yet to come. What feels like a setback is often a divine redirection. We see with limited eyes, often interpreting delay or detour as failure, as rejection, as some misstep that pulled us from the path of our destiny. But the Father, in His infinite wisdom and tender mercy, will sometimes allow what looks like a loss to reroute us into what will ultimately become the fulfillment of His plan. Not every closed door is a curse. Not every interruption is the enemy. Some are the very hand of God, gently steering us away from lesser things so He can give us something greater. How many times have we mourned what didn't happen, only to look back and whisper a quiet thank you to the one who saw what we never could? The job you didn't get, the relationship that ended, the opportunity that vanished, all those moments that left you confused or heartbroken may have been the very moments that saved you. Because if He allowed it to fall apart, then He has something better to build. If He permitted the path to end, it's only because He has a new one waiting to unfold. But in the moment, it rarely feels like that. It feels like failure. It feels like abandonment. You stare at the broken pieces, and it feels as though everything you hoped for has been shattered beyond repair. You question the timing, the direction, the prayer you thought you heard Him answer. But He is not the author of confusion, and when you walk with Him, nothing is wasted. Even the detours become part of the design. Even the no becomes part of the yes. Sometimes the setback is to protect you from what your eyes couldn't see. Sometimes it's to prepare you for what your heart isn't ready to carry. And sometimes it's simply because He's taking you a better way. A longer road, perhaps, a quieter one, but one filled with purpose, presence, and peace. You may not understand the map, but you can trust the guide. You may not know why the road split when it did, but you can rest in the hands that hold your journey. O Lord, remind me that what feels like the end is often just the turning of the page. Teach me not to despair in the delay, not to grieve as though all is lost when your hand is still at work. Let my heart rise in hope when the road shifts beneath my feet. Let me say, even this, Lord, even this you can use. Help me to release the disappointment, the fear, the desire to control every outcome. I place the broken pieces into your hands. I surrender the unanswered questions. I lay down the timeline I once clung to and choose instead to walk in the light of your presence, one step at a time. Let me not look to the right or to the left, but only unto you, the author and finisher of my faith. How easy it is to think we've missed it, to believe that a wrong turn, a lost opportunity, or a failed plan has disqualified us from the future we longed for. But in your kingdom, nothing is wasted. You restore, you redeem, you resurrect what we thought was dead. The dreams we buried in disappointment are not forgotten by you. The doors that closed are not the end of the story. You are still writing, still leading, still making a way. And so I lift my eyes from the ruins and choose to believe again. To believe that you are still guiding me, still working all things together for good. Even when the evidence is hidden, even when the promise feels distant, I trust that if you've allowed the setback, it is not to harm me, but to heal me, to teach me something I would have never learned had everything gone according to my plan. Let me hear your voice in the quiet. Let me sense your nearness in the waiting. Let my spirit rise in praise, not only when things are going well, but even in the midst of the redirection. For it is in these sacred moments, when nothing makes sense, that faith becomes real, not because of what I see, but because of who you are. And you, O God, are faithful. Always. You never lead astray. You never abandon mid-journey. You are not surprised by my detours, and you are not overwhelmed by my disappointments. You hold the blueprint of my life, and you do not make mistakes. I trust you not only with my dreams, but with my detours. I trust you not only with my blessings, but with my setbacks. For every step I take, whether forward or delayed, is held within your sovereign hands. Lord, keep my heart from growing bitter when the past shifts. Keep my eyes from fixating on what I lost, and teach me to see what you are doing. Give me the courage to begin again, to follow where you lead, even if it looks nothing like what I expected. Remind me that you are not limited by my past, that every closed door is a doorway to something new, something holy, something that has been prepared for me from the beginning, that there is no regret from the beginning. And even if I never fully understand the why, let me always rest in the who. For it is you who go before me, you who stand beside me, you who come behind me. You are not just writing the story, you are the story. You are the beginning and the end, and every turn in between is being shaped by hands that know no error. So I choose to follow, I choose to trust, even here, even now, even in this setback, I will find you. Peace is found not in control, but in resting in God's sovereignty. How hard it is for the human heart to let go. We hold so tightly to plans, to expectations, to dreams we've sketched out in the silence of our own understanding. We map our futures, we arrange our schedules, and we cling to outcomes as if our survival depends on them. And yet, even with all our efforts, peace remains elusive. We wrestle with anxiety, burdened by the weight of outcomes we cannot guarantee, fearing that if we don't manage every detail, something precious will slip through our hands. But there is a sacred invitation being whispered through every season of tension and uncertainty. It is not the call to do more, to fix everything, or to make sense of the chaos. It is the call to rest. Not to become passive, not to abandon responsibility, but to release the illusion that we are in control. Because we never were. And that realization, rather than breaking us, can become the very foundation of our peace. God does not operate on our terms. He does not bow to our deadlines or conform to our expectations. His thoughts are higher, his ways are deeper, and his plans are more perfect than anything we could ever conceive. When we try to take his place at the center of the story, we forfeit the very peace he offers. Peace does not come from knowing the plan. There is something profoundly liberating in surrender. To say with your whole heart, I don't have to know how it will unfold because I trust who is unfolding it. That is where peace begins, not in understanding but in trusting, not in controlling the journey but in believing that even the crooked paths are being made straight by his hand. Peace is not the absence of conflict, but the presence of confidence in God's character. So many of us are tired, not just physically, but spiritually weary from the constant striving to hold everything together. We pray, and yet we panic. We sing songs of trust, and yet we lie awake, rehearsing the worst outcomes. But when we finally come to the end of ourselves, when we fall into the arms of the one who never asked us to carry the burden alone, we discover a peace that passes understanding. O Lord, teach me to rest in your sovereignty. Let me not fight for control over things that were never mine to hold. Quiet my restless heart. Help me release the fear that, if I let go, everything will fall apart. Remind me that it is not my strength but your faithfulness that sustains my life. Wrap me in the assurance that nothing touches me unless it first passes through your loving hands. Let your spirit calm the storms within me. Let your word anchor my thoughts when they begin to drift toward fear. Replace my need for answers with a deeper trust in your presence. May I not chase after peace in circumstances, but find it in communion with you. Let your peace guard my heart and mind like a gentle, watchful shepherd. When the world spins fast and the unknown looms large, let me choose stillness over striving. Let me choose to trust instead of tremble. For you are the God who never sleeps, who never falters, who never abandons. You hold all things together, even when it feels like they are falling apart. You are not shaken by the storms that rattle my heart. You are not surprised by the battles I face. You remain constant, unchanging, sovereign over every detail. Sometimes we fear surrender because we think it means loss. But surrender to you always leads to peace. Always. Because you are good. And even when we cannot trace your hand, we can trust your heart. There is no safer place to be than in the center of your will. Even if that place is hidden in the mystery of the unknown, we don't find peace by solving everything. We find it by yielding everything, laying it all at your feet, the plans, the people, the outcomes, the fears. And once we've laid it down, help us, Lord, not to pick it back up again. Help us not to carry what you've called us to release. Teach us the discipline of stillness, the power of letting go, the beauty of resting in you. O Father, cleanse me from anxious striving. Let the rhythm of my soul align with the stillness of your spirit. Train my eyes to see past the moment and into the eternal. When I am tempted to take matters into my own hands, remind me of your goodness. Remind me of your faithfulness. Remind me of the peace that comes only from trusting you fully. May my heart be a dwelling place for your peace. May my life reflect the quiet confidence of a soul anchored in you. Let me live not as one tossed by waves, but as one held by grace. No matter what comes, let peace rule within me. Not the peace that the world offers, fragile and fleeting, but the peace that flows from knowing that my life, my story, my future is safely held in your hand. In every unknown tomorrow, be my peace today. In every silence, be my song. In every surrender, be my strength. For you are not only able, you are willing. And you are not only willing, you are near. You are here. And because you are here, I will not be afraid. I will not strive. I will rest. In you, my soul is safe. In you, my heart is whole. In you, I have peace. Not because I understand the path, but because I trust the one who walks it with me.